The more they own you, correct? Because if you get a car payment, if you get a house payment, if you get a college payment, if you get a medical, some people like to take out like loans to pay for medical stuff. So any of that, if you get that stuff, the more you get from them, the more basically they own you, because what happens if you stop making payments to them?
They're gonna take everything.
Yeah, they take everything. They seize your house, they seize your car, whatever you're not making payments on anymore becomes their property. That way, so here's a financial tip. A lot of times when banks get properties or cars, they want to get rid of them as quick as possible because they're kind of a financial burden to them. So you can a lot of times get a good deal on a house or a car that a bank has repossessed. It's called repossessed. Okay? So when y'all get to be adults and stuff like that, look out for banks that have repossessed a house, because they want to turn that over and get rid of that as quick as possible. And cars especially. Houses, they don't mind to keep a house a little bit longer because they hold their value more. But now vehicles, as soon as you drive a brand new vehicle off the lot, you've lost about $2,000 or $3,000. Because you're not going to be able to resell it for what you just paid for. So a lot of times people will not buy new vehicles for that very reason unless they've just got cash for those vehicles. Okay? And they'll buy a used vehicle or something like that because the depreciation on a vehicle, and depending on what you get, like a Toyota holds its resale value better than a Kia does, so to speak. So it depends also on what make and model you get. Don't get too far off. So the Federal Reserve Bank, so they swoop in. These people design that and stuff. Now there's a lot of conspiracies around this. Go ahead, Lex Savage, give me your conspiracy.
A common conspiracy theory claims that the Federal Reserve created a hidden system of control over citizens by turning birth certificates into installment bonds to finance government after 1933.
That is also correct. So people started realizing, even presidents started realizing that the Federal Reserve had a lot of power, right? More power than it should have. Like, we might have done this. And go ahead, Devin. You got something for me, buddy? Yeah. And so even today, like, I'm not a big fan of the Federal Reserve. Okay. And I'll tell you why. Because they control basically our economy. And so when people say, oh, by the way, does our government own the Federal Reserve?
It's
Go
controlled by
ahead,
international bankers.
what is it?
Controlled by international bankers.
Controlled by international bankers. So we have an entity that has basically full control of our economy. And at any time, it's not really controlled by our government. Now, here's a fun fact. You know the two presidents that wanted to go away from actually it wasn't created yet. So two different time periods. One president, you know the only two presidents that tried to create American like green money and it be controlled by the government. Does anybody know those two presidents?
I don't.
So one was after the Federal Reserve, and he wanted to get out of the Federal Reserve, and he wanted to make American money and them have our own banking system. America have its own banking system. Does anybody know those two presidents?
I can look them up.
George?
Nope. One before the Federal Reserve was Abraham Lincoln. He tried to make an American currency and an American bank to keep the Union together and finance the war. And JFK was the second. Both of those guys were assassinated. So basically, somebody that wanted to make an American bank for American people and American money, both of those two presidents were shot. I'm not saying that's the reason, but it's kind of a coinky dink. I'm just saying they challenge bankers and money and stuff. So another fun one, and we'll talk about this tomorrow that we've not talked about, but I'm going to tie another huge conspiracy theory into this. and there might be a little more to that one, actually. So there might be a little smoke where there's fire, but it'll be fun. It's something you've heard of before, but I needed to talk about this first. So basically, we have a world, so we talk about the New World Order and how that's a bad thing, but basically our economy is a world economy. Because there's other federal banks all over. There's a federal bank in London, federal bank in Italy, federal banks all over the world. Now, here's a few places where there's not federal banks. Russia, Iran, maybe Iraq, not 100% sure about that.
Wait, why do they not got them?
Because they don't believe in them or trust them.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, that's what Hitler was trying to tell everybody too, that the federal banks and the Rothschilds, you see, that's really who's behind all these federal banks, is the Rothschilds. So instead of American bankers making money off of American money and interest rate, we have a Federal Reserve where you could better believe if there was enough paper trails and you wanted to spend days researching, you could trace back that the Rothschilds are making money off of the American economy. So in a way, that's one reason though, so it goes back. So Lex Savage, pull up the Federal Reserve website, .gov. Federal Reserve website, .gov. Did you find it?
Is the Federal Reserve Board home?
Yes.
Yeah.
What does it tell us why the Federal Reserve was created at their own website? I just want you to be wary of these words.
I don't even know. I got on this right here.
You're good, buddy.
It says,
So it says about the Federal Reserve.
provides it with a safe, flexible, and stable monetary and financial system.
Go ahead, read that again.
It says the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, provides the nation with a safe, flexible, and stable monetary and financial system.
What are the key words there?
Safe and flexible
Safe and flexible.
and stable.
So now they're given to our senses, right? We're gonna make it secure, safe. Don't have to worry about your money. Flexible basically means convenience. We'll make it good and convenient for you. Guess what's about to be rolled out here pretty soon on us? They're going to say the exact same thing. It's called a digital ID.
Good.
They're going to be able to track us when we poop, basically. It's going to be great. Not real big on it. So in 1907, there was a big scare in America that we might go into a depression. So they used people's fear to make a Federal Reserve Bank. They said, here's our chance. We're going to make a Federal Reserve Bank. So we've got people that control our money system that our government's not even over. It's really crazy. And actually, turn on that TV there, Lex Savage, or somebody. I want to show y'all something. Huh?
Washington, D.C., CBS News presents an address by John F. Kennedy, President of the United States. President will speak. Members of the American Society of Newspaper Editors, who are holding their 39th annual convention at the Statler Hilton Hotel. Originally, the chief executive was to have lunched with the editors, but early today he changed his plans, presumably because of the international situation and because he wanted more time to devote to his address. The President met with his cabinet during the morning. The session has been scheduled some time ago, but it's
Catholic, members of the American Society, newspaper editors, ladies and gentlemen. The president of a great democracy such as ours, and the editors of great newspapers such as yours, owe a common obligation to the people. An obligation to present the facts, to present them with candor. Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Governors, distinguished guests.
Here it is.
This is my first opportunity to take part in your annual meetings and to welcome you to Washington, and I do so with the greatest of pleasure. For you are concerned with the problems which have been among my primary concerns since the day I took office exactly 20 months ago. And in that time, I have come to appreciate how vital a role is played by the International Monetary Fund and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development and its affiliated institutions. The work of the International Development Association is particularly important, and this country fully supports the proposal that the executive directors develop a program to increase its resources. The pioneering practices of the bank, which have set a standard for others to follow, will sorely miss the services of Eugene Black. I hope he will permit us to call upon his wise counsel in the future, and that the rest of us, in pursuing the goals which he set, will increase our own efforts, including efforts in the industrialized countries, to provide greater capital assistance to the less developed areas, efforts also in the industrialized countries to maintain.
Remarks of the President to the American Newspaper Publishers Association, Waldorf Astoria Hotel, New York City, April 27, 1961.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate very much your generous invitation to be here tonight. I have the question: is it in the interest of national security? And I hope that every group in America, unions and businessmen and public officials at every level, will ask the same question of their endeavors and subject their actions to this same exacting test. And should the press of America consider and recommend the voluntary assumption of specific new steps or machinery, I can assure you that we will cooperate wholeheartedly with those recommendations. Perhaps there will be no recommendations. Perhaps there is no answer to the dilemma faced by a free and open society in a cold and secret war. In times of peace, any discussion of this prospects, the purposes of our program, and the choices that we face. No president should fear public scrutiny of this program. For from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I'm not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First